Hey, Coach.
Hi.
David Lee said preseason that he feels it's smart for the team to wait for you to get a grasp on the roster before the team makes additions in the transfer window. So ultimately, is it your decision to give the club your blessing for to open up moves forward with adding talent?
No, it's not only about my blessing. It's in conversation with each other. And I think David has told you this also. For me, as a coach coming in, a new coach with a roster I don't know, you always have the opportunity in preseason to get to know each other. But from the first day on, we're in conversation how to strengthen the squad and how we can create more depth in the squad. So that's an ongoing conversation, and it's not only my decision.
Onto the Zoom, we'll go with Scott.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Scott Church and Stream Punk Soccer. Appreciate the
Hi,
time.
Scott.
Hey,
Hi.
talk a little bit. Obviously, 8 minutes in, Tavon had to come out. How is he doing, and how did that change the entire course of the match? Thanks.
Yeah, interesting question. We're still dealing with Tavon's situation. There is no clarity on what happened exactly, but he felt pain in his right leg, and we're trying to examine him and find out what the problem is. So we'll have to wait and see first.
Michael Allen.
Hi, Coach Michael Allen, Pro Soccer. Thanks for the time.
Hi,
Tough
Michael.
result out there tonight. Hi. Just obviously, it's been two games now where you've given up a late goal in the final minutes of the match after playing a pretty good match on the road in a tough
hmm
situation.
hmm
Just wondering what you said to the team tonight after the match, and what are the steps that you need to take next to correct this, caving at the end of the matches?
Yeah, also a very interesting question. The one thing I will say, what we shared after the match in the dressing room, is that you can play an even match because I think the game was in balance over the time of the match. But details will always make the difference once a game is in balance. It can be a set piece in offense or defense. And now it was one moment where they're in attack and we don't have the situation under control yet. And we give away our advantage in being in a good position. And we get punished for it. So it's a detail in this game that makes a difference. And playing games, as I said, in balance will always be decided by detail. So that's also the case looking at the game from last week in Miami. And I believe my guys are quick learners. And unfortunately, this is a moment where we still have to understand that different behavior is required in order to stay away from this type of situations.
Alex.
Good evening, Pascal. This is Alex only from AM New York.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. What are your overall impressions of the team's performance tonight, and where do you feel the game got away from you guys? Thanks.
Well, I mentioned to your colleague just now, I think the game overall was in balance. A tough game away, LA, strong squad with good players. But I think it was a very competitive game, a very tight game. And as I explained to your colleague just now, details will make the difference when a game is in balance. And unfortunately, one detail when we conceded a goal, we were not. We switched off for just 1 or 2 seconds and got punished for it. So that's the biggest difference in this game.
Michael.
Pascal, it's Mike Andrew from Blue City Radio. Thanks for the time as well.
Hi, Mike.
It's second game in a row you take out Maxi Morales, and the team seems to lose its connectivity. How concerning is it that the team seems to hinge on one player, and you don't seem to have any options?
Well, I disagree. We have options. Pepe came on. Pepe is also being prepared to play 90-minute games again. I had to make a decision in this game in order to create a different situation, a different dynamic in midfield. And that's why Pepe came on. So it's not a situation where I kicked off Maxi. On the contrary, because I don't kick out any player. I just look at the game and I think about solutions, how we can get the game to go forward in our direction. And that's why I chose to bring on other players.
Anthony.
Hey, Coach Anthony Merced, AJM Sports.
Hi, Anthony.
Hi, you mentioned this a little bit when answering the previous question. It seemed like some of the substitutions you made late in the game were to make an attempt to open up the game a bit more, especially since it seemed like it was a bit of a stalemate in the middle of the field. Can you talk a little bit about what your intentions were in the midfield to change the flow of what seemed like a really tight game?
Well, if you watch closely, and I think you did, we had an overload situation in midfield. We were playing 3 against 2 the majority of the game, and the guys in the middle played that quite well. But the movement off the ball from midfield was something I was looking for with Pepe. He has the quality to play in similar areas than as Maxi, but also can make some more movement off the ball in supporting Alonso. So that was one of the reasons I put in Pepe in midfield. And if you look at the sub with Agu and Munsef, creating a different dynamic on the flank in the wide area. So we put in Agu from a situation and a perspective that he could play 1v1 in the wide area just a little bit better and more specific than Munsef could. And on the right side with Juli coming in for Hannes, as you mentioned, the game opened up, and that means there's always more room for attackers, and fresh attackers can bring fresh energy and more threat towards the goal of the opponent. So those were some of the ideas behind the subs.
Final one, we'll go back to the room.
Coach, question about Munsef Bakrar and Alonso Martinez. We saw in preseason in California here, you had them up top 2 strikers for a little bit, and then they switched on and off. Sounded like it was like a little fluid. Here, it looked like Bakrar was playing more of a left wing, but maybe pinched in a little bit more. Is it up to them to determine their kind of formation, or is it something that you tell them depending on like what the defense is showing?
No, we address these things in training, obviously, and playing with Munsef in this position, there was a specific situation that I was trying to create with the team on and off the ball. In possession, Munsef had the freedom to go a little bit closer to Alonso and create the 1v1 situation in the middle. The opponent, however, started with 3 central defenders, so that changed just a little bit. But out of possession, we have to reset in a new shape, and there were 2 choices for Munsef to either play next to Alonso or come down and play next to Keaton or Justin out of possession.